classroom. Today I have taken some more questions on percentages, starting with a simple question. The ratio of the number of boys and girls in a school is 3:2. 20% of the boys and 25% of the girls are scholarship holder. Find the percent of the school students who are not scholarship holder. Question says, in a school, suppose this is a school, and in this school, the ratio of a boy is to girl is like this. Okay, boys to girl is like this. Okay, 3:2. Question says, out of the boys, 20% of the boys are scholarship holder. Okay, and out of the girls, 25% of the girls are scholarship holder. And we have to find the percent of the students who are not scholarship holder. Okay, I'll look at the question. In this question, I can solve it by general value substitution. Because there is no fixed or discrete value given in the question. The one value is given is in the form of ratio, and then other one is in form of percentages. In general value substitution, we have learned that if no discrete or fixed value is given in a question, we can solve it by using general value substitution. In this, the thing which we require to calculate the percent is a total number of the students in the school. And so let us assume the total number of students in the school to be 100. However, you can also assume total number of a student to be X, and the answer would be same in both the cases. But it is pretty easier to solve question by assuming the total number of a student by 100. So I am taking the total number of a student in the school to be 100. Okay, let the number of a student in the school be 100. Okay, now what I'm doing is, it is given that the ratio of a boys and a girls is 3:2. Since I have not taught you ratios yet, so I will be solving the total number of a boys and a girls in the school by unitary method. Okay, the ratio of a boys to the girls is 3:2. I can say that for every 5 students there are 3 boys. If you add up this 3 plus 2, you will get 5. That means total number of a student be 5, and the total number, if total number of students be 5, then there are 3 boys. Okay, so I can, by unitary method, I can say if there would have been only 1 student, there would have been 3 by 5 boys. However, it is not practically possible, but for calculating the unit values, so I can do this. Okay, now for if there would have been 1 student, there would have been 3 by 5 boys. However, it is not possible. It is not physically, practically possible. But for unitary method, we can assume like this. Okay. Now what? There are 100 students. I have assumed total number of students to be 100. So I have to multiply this with 100. So if the total number of a student in the school is 100, so the number of boys will be 3 by 5 into 100, which will come out to be 60. So it's always, this is 20 into 3, this comes out to be 60. Therefore, total number of boys in the school is 60. Okay. I'm writing it here. Total number of boys in the school is 60. If the total number of a boy in the school is 60, it's obvious that total number of a girl in the school is 40. 100 minus 60. Okay. Total number of a girl in the school is 40. Now what? It is given 20% of the boys are scholarship holder. And you have to calculate the percentage of the boys who are not scholarship holder. However, right now I am calculating the students who are scholarship holder, because it is easier to find 20% of a boys, because it is very easy to calculate 20% of any number. Okay, instead else I could have found 80% of the boys who are not scholarship holder, but instead of finding that, I am finding only 20% of the boys who are scholarship holder. If I will calculate 20% of a 60, it will come out to be 12. It will come out to be 12. You can easily check. 10% of a 60 is 6, and then 20% will be 12. Similarly, 25% of the girls are scholarship holder. If I say for 25% of 40, it will come out to be 10. So I can say total number of scholarship holder girls in the school is 10. Okay. If you calculate for 25% of 40, it will come out to be 10. Okay. So if I add up this, total number of I'll get the total number of students who are scholarship holder. If I add up this, it will come out to be 22. So I can say the total number of students who are scholarship holder is 22. Okay. So, but we have to calculate the percentage of the students who are not scholarship holder. So I have to subtract this from 100. I have to it should be separated to 100, so I'll get it 78. Okay, then I can say 78 students out of 100 are not scholarship holder, but we have to calculate percentages. Okay, and if I calculate the percentages, I'll get like this, because our total number of students is 100 and not students who have no scholarship is 78, and when I calculate the percentages, it will come out to be 78%. Okay, therefore 78% is the answer of this question. It's very easy question. If you just go on the basics and try step by step, you will excel in this point. In the recent I'm moving to the next question now. In the recent climate conference in New York, out of 700 men, 500 women, 800 children present inside the building premises, 20% of the men, 40% of the women, and 10% of the children were Indian. Find the percentages of the people who were not Indian. Here what question says, there is in a conference room in New York, there are 700 men, okay, 500 women and 800 children. Okay, out of 700 men, 20% are Indian, 40% of the women are Indian, and 10% of the children are Indian. Okay, we have to calculate the percentage of people who are not Indian. Again, not Indian, no? So I can do either way. Either I calculate the number of people who are not Indian directly, or if I calculate total number of people who are Indian and I'll separate it from the total number of people present there. Okay, so I am calculating total of number of the people who are Indian. Here I will not do any general value substitution, because there is given absolute value, fixed value. Okay, that is fixed number. For 700 men, 500 women, there are fixed values given. So I don't have to assume anything. So here I calculate 20% of a man, which will come out to be 140. 10% of 700 is 70, and therefore 20% will be 140. 40% of 500 will be 200. As you can calculate like this. 10% of 500 is 50, 40% will be 200. 10% of 800 will be 80. If I add up this, it will come out to be 420. Okay, therefore I can say that in the conference room 420 people are Indian. Okay, 420 people are Indian. If I calculate percentage of the people who are Indian and I separate it from 100, I get the people percentage of the people who are not Indian. So I'm just calculating the percentages. However, you can calculate like this also. If I add a total number of people, 8 plus 5, 13, 13 plus 7, 13, 2000 people are there. In order to find total percentages for the people who are not Indian, I should subtract 420 from 2000. But instead of doing this, I'm just calculating how much percentage of the people are Indian. Right now I'm calculating the percentage of the people who are Indian, because it is easier to find this equation. So I'm doing like this, and it will come out to be 21. Therefore I can say 21% of the people present in the conference room are Indian. So since 21% people present in the conference room are 21, so I can subtract 100 minus 21 to get the percentage of the people who are not Indian. Hence the answer of this question is 79%. I guess it is clear to you, because I'm just following the basics. There are a lot of steps you can change and then manipulate according to you. I have shown you the simplest method. Let me move to some complex problems. I'll move to some relative concepts now and some complex problems. Let's see some more questions on percentages. In this question, in an election between two candidates, 75% of the voters cast their votes, out of which 2% votes were declared invalid. A candidate got 9261 votes, which were 75% of the valid votes. Find the total number of the voters enrolled in the election. In this question says there were some voters, of which only 75% of the voters voted. And among the total votes, 2% of the votes were declared invalid. Okay, now what? One candidate got 9261 votes, which was 75% of the valid votes. Okay, that means after deducting that 2% of the invalid votes. Okay, Many people try to solve this question by doing reverse engineering. That means they proceed from this side by putting 75% of the valid votes equal to 9361. Then they calculate the value of valid votes and they can go back and then they reach the final answer. However, I can do this by this reverse engineering process, but if you're not good at basics, you may stuck, and your answer, there would be error in answer also. So let's start with this from the data which we have given in this proper sequence. Okay, so let's start. First, let us assume that the total number of the voters enrolled in the election to be X. Okay, let the total number of the voters enrolled in the election be X. Now what? 75% of the voters casted their vote. That means 75% of the voters. That means 75% of X. Okay, 75% of X. These are the people who casted the votes. Now what? Out of which 2% of the votes were declared invalid. That means 2% of this vote were declared invalid. In successive, we have seen that if we have to calculate, we have to deduct 2% from this. We just deduct 100 minus 2, and that means we multiply by 98 by 100. That means I will do this in order to deduct 2% from this. I'll just simplify it by 98 by 100, because earlier it was 100%, now it's 98%, because 2% of the votes were declared invalid. Now 98% of the votes were valid. So this is the valid votes. Now I've got the number of valid votes, total number of valid votes. Now what? The question says that 75% of the votes, the question says a candidate got 9261 votes, which was 75% of the valid votes. Valid vote is this much, and a candidate got 75% of the valid vote. That means 75% of this vote. Now I calculate 75 of this vote. It will come out to be like this. Now it is equal to 9261. Okay. Now what? I'll calculate it. It is 25 3s are 25 4s are 25 3s are 25 4s are. Okay. This 3 into 3, that is 9 1 0 2 9. Okay. Now what? Again it's 49 and it will be 2. Now 7 7s are 1. This will be 4 7. Okay. Now this was 1 2 1. Now from here X will come out to be 16800. Okay. Therefore the total number of the voters enrolled in the election was 16800. I think this question is now clear to you. Let's move to the next question. In this question, a candidate secured 30 marks in the examination and failed by 6 marks. Another candidate secured 40% marks and got 6 marks more than the minimum marks to pass. First question is find maximum marks, and the second one is find percentage of the marks to pass. In this question, one of the candidates secured 30% marks and he fails in the examination by 6 marks. And another candidate secured 40% marks and got 6 marks more than the minimum passing marks. And the question says find maximum marks to pass. Find the maximum marks of the examination. Okay. So in this kind of question, if this kind of question comes in an exam, always equate passing marks. That means try to make the student reach to the passing marks, and this also, and equate their marks. Okay. Never try to solve by any formulas. Okay. So let me solve it. The first student scored 30% marks. Let the total marks of the student, maximum marks of the examination be X. Okay. Maximum marks to be X. Now what? 30% of X. A student's first candidate scored 30 by 100 of X. Now what? He's failed by 6 marks. So in order to make him pass, you have to give him 6 marks more. Now this candidate has passed. Okay. Now this passing marks will be equal to now the second candidate have scored 40% marks. Okay. Now what? 40% of X, then he has got 6 marks more than the passing marks. Now deduct 6 marks from his marks so that he would reach to the passing marks. Now both of the candidates, both of the sides are equated to the passing marks. So both of the equations represent passing marks and they are equal for a single examination. Now what? If you will solve the equation, you will find the value of X. It will come out to be like this, and it will be like this. Now from here X will come out to be 120. Therefore the maximum marks for maximum marks of the examination was 120. So this is the maximum marks of the examination. For the part 2 of the question, we need to find the percentage of the marks to pass. That means we need to calculate passing marks. Right now we have value of maximum marks. Now in order to find the percentage of the marks to pass, we need to find the passing marks. Okay. So if I equate the value of x in any of the equation, that means in this or in this, I get the I get the passing marks. Okay. I'm putting the value here. I'm putting the value of x here. So 30 by 100 of 120 plus of 6. From here I'll get 42. Okay. This is 120. I'll get the value of x to be passing marks to be 42. That means passing marks for this examination was 42. Now we have to calculate the passing percentages marks. That means 42 by 120 into 100. Okay, this 0 to 0 gone. This is 7s are, this is 2s are, and this is 5. Now it will come out to be 35%. Therefore, 35% marks was required to pass the examination. I guess this question is clear to you now. We'll move to some other questions now. Let's see some more questions on percentages. In this question, Vicky's salary is 75% more than Ashu's. Vicky's got a raise of 40% on his salary, while Ashu got raise of 25% on his salary. By what percent is Vicky's salary more than Ashu's salary? This question is entirely based on a relative concept. I have just taken to make a relative concept very clear. Okay, let me tell you what question says first. The question says the salary of Vicky is 75% more than that of Ashu's salary. In the here that of Ashu's, that means with respect to that of Ashu's. Okay, this point is very important. Now what? Vicky's salary has risen to 40%. That means if his salary was 100 rupees, now it's 140 rupees because it has rose to 40%. Okay, and similarly the Ashu's salary has raised to 25% of his previous salary. Okay, now what? Case says by what percent, that means by what percent new salary of Vicky and Ashu's are related. Okay, or you can say the question is like that: by what percent Vicky's salary is more than that of Ashu's. Okay, in this question there is no fixed value given. Okay, all the terms are in percentages, so we can make a general value substitution. That means we can assume anyone's of the salary to be 100. But the question will arise in your mind that whose salary we should assume as 100. Okay. Now what? Let me tell you whose salary you will assume 100. First let us assume that salary of Vicky to be 100. If I say the salary of Vicky to be 100 and try to find out the Ashu's salary, it is not that easy because Vicky's salary is directly dependent on Ashu's. The case says Vicky's salary is 75% more than that of Ashu's. That means Vicky's salary is dependent on Ashu's. So it is not that easy to find the Ashu's salary if I assume that Vicky's salary. So I assume the salary of Ashu's to be 100. However, you can also assume that salary of Ashu to be X and you can find out the solution. But here I'll do this question by assuming salary of any one person to be 100. Okay, because it is easier. So now what? Let the salary of Ashu be 100 rupees. Ashu's salary is 100 rupees. Now what? Vicky's salary is 75% more than that of Ashu. That means of 75%. That means Vicky's salary will be 100 plus 75% of 100. That will come out to be 175 rupees. Okay. Now the Vicky's salary is 175 rupees. Now what? There is a rise of 25% in the salary of Ashu and 40% in the salary of Vicky. Okay. 40% in Vicky and then 25% on Ashu's. Now what? If I increase by Ashu's salary by 25%, it will become 125 because 25% of 100 is 25 and I'll add it to it, that will be 125. Now what? Vicky's salary is raised to 40%. That means 40% of what? 40% of 175. That means now the Vicky's salary is 140% of 175. Or I can say that 175 plus 40% of 75. Let me calculate that 40% of 175. Okay. So if I calculate 40% of 175, it will come out to be 70 rupees. Okay. Now what? If I add here 70 rupees here it will be well, add 70 here, it will be 245. Okay, now the salary of Vicky is 245 and the salary of Ashu is 125. That means new salaries. Now what? Question says by what percent Vicky's salary more than, here more word is written. Okay, let us calculate how much more Vicky's salary is. Vicky's salary is 245, Ashu's salary is 125. That means 120 rupees is more than the salary of Vicky is 120 rupees more than that of Ashu's. So I have to calculate 120 upon of that of Ashu's. I have to take base here of the salary of Ashu's, that means 125, and I'll calculate the percentages because we have to calculate the Vicky's, how much percent Vicky's salary is more than that of Ashu's. Ashu's salary is 125 and the more amount which is 125, it will come out to be 25 fours are 25 fives are, it will be 2 4 and it will be 96%. That means the answer of this question is 90%. Therefore the salary of Vicky is 96% more than that of Ashu's. Now I think this question is clear to you. I'll move to the next question this time. Now on the shelf, the first row contains 25% more books than that the second row, and the third row contains 25% less books than that of the second row. If the total number of the books contained in all the rows is 600, then find the number of the books in the first row. Here the first word is written. Okay, we have to calculate. We have to find the number of the books in the first row. However, we can try. In this question we cannot assume the number of book in any row to be 100, as because a fixed value 600 is given in this question. Okay, so we cannot make assumption to be by taking any number of books in any row to be 100. So we have to assume in any one of the row the number of book to be x. So in this question, first find the number of books in the first row is given. Let me explain you question what the question says first. In this question, there is a shelf and there are 3 rows, 1, 2, 3 rows suppose, and it is given that on the first row it has 25% more book than first. Okay, and more book, it's more book than first, and here suppose it's second. Here the question says 25% more book than second. Okay, it's the second row, and here in the third row the number of book is 25% less than second row. Okay, this is the question says, and we have total number of book in all the rows is given is 600. Okay, if I combine all the books, it will be 600, and we have to find that the number of books in the first row, that means in this row. Okay, now what? Let me explain you what we cannot assume and number of books to be 100. So we have to make assumption we have to proceed in this question by assuming a number of book in any of the row to be x. Let us suppose number of book in the first row to be x. If I assume number of books in the first row to be in the first row to be x, and I try to calculate the number of book in the second row, it is not that easy, because if we see that in the relation of the first row, the number of books in the first row is related to the second row. So in this question we should make an assumption that number of books in the second row to be x. So because number of the book in the first row is related to number of book in the second row. Okay, now what? Number of the book in the second row is x. Now what? If it is in the second row and in the first row it is given, that number of book in the first row is 25% more than this x. Therefore, I will do like this for the first row, and for the third row it's 25% less. That means x minus 25 by 100 of x. And in the combined form, it is given that second plus first plus third. Total number of book in the row is 600. So I am adding up all this. And it is equal to 600. Okay, it is given that all the number of books in this row is 600. If I cut it down, it will come out like this, and it is 600. Then the value of x will come out to be 200. Okay. Therefore, the number of books in the second row is x. Remember that we have assumed that number of book in the second row to be x, not in the first row. So in order to calculate first row, we have to calculate like this: x plus 25 by 100 of x, which will come out to be 200 plus of 50. It is 50 because 25 by 100 into 200 is equal to 50 and it is 250. Hence this 250 is the answer of this question. So I can say that the number of the books in the first row is 250. I think this question is clear to you now. I will move to some other type of questions now.